What's happening, everyone, and welcome to El Chile Boxing Talk. Got the homies with me as always, Georgie with Off the Ropes Boxing and MMA, and the legendary Nopal Boxeanos. What's happening, fellas?
Good morning to both of you. What's up, guys?
Good morning, indeed. We are deciding to go off camera today. We're slowly recovering from the holidays. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I went down to Northern California, and I saw my homie Nopal Boxeanos. We went to a flea market. It was awesome. I picked up some old Mexican remedies, right? I got all kinds of shit. And also these leaves, right, that are from India called moringa, and it's very popular. I've been using it. I've been feeling great. Also got some dandelion. Also this mystery powder called Adios Hueva, which is kind of like, all right, Huevon, this will perk you up.
Wake you up.
Yeah, dude. It's got some
Hey,
turmeric, some ashwagandha, some spirulina.
ashwagandha. What are you trying to do, Chile? What are you trying to do, Chicano?
I don't know, man. It's just I'm just taking the mix, man. I'm just taking the mix. But yeah, I know about ashwagandha. That's
Oh
the only one.
yeah.
But people say spirulina is like this super powder, right?
hmm
So I mean, it was cool. We went to the Stockton flea market. Saw some chiquitas walking around. It was nice to see some Latinas. You know what I mean? I got my fix. For no ball, it's the same old thing. But over here in Oregon, it's so white up here. It's so white that I felt good. And
Next time we got to take a trip, Chicano, to Arizona and get some
Hey,
peyote from our boy over here, George. Huh?
come on by, guys.
Hook
I'm
us up,
telling you.
bro. Hook us
Hey,
up, man.
I know the medicine man himself.
Yeah,
Woo.
dude. I bet you in Tucson, I could probably get all kinds of Mexican herbs and fucking like
Oh
a
yeah, dude.
curandera over there in fucking Tucson. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they got a
Shit.
lot of those yerberias over here. Like I'm sure they have them over there too, like in Cali, like the yerberias. Like
Hmm.
the little stores with the Mexican lady that has all the herbs and candles and everything. So
That's yeah. We saw some love candles there and some like good luck candles and all
Shit,
kinds of shit. And A Rod is in the house. What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well.
shit. I
He
was into
says,
that shit till I fucking spotted Santa Muerte. Then I was gone, bro.
yeah, dude. It's like you see statues of like Archangel Michael and Santa Muerte, like it's all right there. And then Santa Muerte, he's that one saint that the cartel dudes pray to, right?
I
Yeah,
believe
No,
so.
that's
yeah, and Jesus
Malverde.
Malverde too. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Malverde.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a tele they just did on that dude. I think I might maybe it's on Netflix. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but we're getting a little off topic, man. We're here to talk some boxing. But El Chito here is here. A Rod, what's happening, brother? And he says that we also have to stop by the 559. I don't know. Does anybody know where the 559 is? I'm assuming
Yeah,
it's
it's
Northern California.
Fresno. Fresno.
All right, I bet you. Yeah, there's probably some good shit over there in Fresno too.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey man, we're glad everybody's here with us. Let's talk some boxing, man. And we're gonna keep it light. Like I said, we're all off camera because I'm dragging. George is ready to go, but I told him, just stay off camera. Just relax. Don't have to worry about it. Have some notes that you can look at. But dude, I want to start off with talking about. Well, this is kind of a little late, but I want to talk about it because I cannot stop laughing about this whole thing. Well, you all saw what happened at the Prograis fight. Jamal Charlo was around. He finally made an appearance. He thought he was injured. He might still be injured, but he's calling out the 175-pound lightweight champion Dimitri Bivol. And I just want to laugh at this real quick. Georgie, what do you think about this call out, man? Did you see the call out? Do you have any thoughts on if it's for real? Let me know what you think about this foolish call out by
Yeah.
Jamal Charlo.
Um, I found it pretty hilarious. I didn't take it too serious when I saw the headline. Clickbait on fight hype on YouTube. So I was like, oh, I'll take a look at this because I figured he was just talking out his ass, and that's exactly what he was doing. It wasn't like, I know, I don't remember which channel it was on YouTube, but he made it seem like he was giving Jamal Charlo like all kinds of props, like he stepped up to Bivol, like, oh look at he grabbed his balls and he's all in his face, and I'm like, dude was not in his face. You can tell just the vibe or the conversation how it was. It was just more like, hey man, let's fight. It wasn't nothing like where he's like, look, I'm gonna get my people, you get your people, we're gonna sign it right now. I don't care. There's no belts. Let's do it for for the views or you know to sell this fight. And Bivol's kind of like the old school guy. I mean, not old school, but he's kind of the way of, what, I want belts. Like, if you don't have no belts at 168, then what the hell's the point? You're not the guy at 168. We all know who the guy is at 168. So it was entertaining. It was entertaining as it was, it was pretty funny. I mean, Bivol, he's it's funny when you got guys that don't speak that great of English, but has some, you could tell like if he was more fluent, I'm pretty sure he would probably give a little more shit talking. But Bivol's a pretty standout guy, and he just let pretty much Jamal Charlo do the talking, and I don't think this is gonna be real. I mean, Jamal's got some people there at 160, 168 that he has to worry about before he can even think about trying to get a fight with Bivol. So,
Hey, man.
entertaining as it was, man.
You said it. Dude, here El Chido says that it would have been good if Bivol headbutted him, and the face Bivol was making just because Jamal dragging breath. Yeah, dude, Bivol was kind of like trying to like you could tell his English was good enough to like understand the call out, but was like kind of confused that the call out was actually happening. No, Paul, did you catch this video out, bro?
Man, one thing about Charlo, bro, he just continues to amaze me, bro. The balls on this guy to be such a savage and just walk up to Bivol like that, bro. And thing about Charlo is his track record proves that he's willing to fight it. Wait, I'm talking about Charlo, huh? Nah, the opposite, bro. He's just cloud chasing, basically, man. At this point, he hasn't fought in how long? Like a whole year. You go back to his resume, nothing but bums. Always cloud chasing. He used to be Canelo. He used to say, "Hey, he's avoiding me." We all know what happened there. Send him the contract, and to sum it all up, the dude has a Balenciaga hat on, bro. So you know what I mean. That just makes it even worse, bro.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Well, do you see that Kanye has been posting? Did you see that picture of Jamal Charlo he posted of like because before Kanye got deleted on Twitter, he was going at like Adidas. And there's like this, for some reason he posted, I think it's Jamal Charlo. Did you guys see that picture?
Just like him, yeah. It looks
yeah,
just
dude,
like him.
and he's all Adidas out, so it's like, yeah, Kanye's been going after Bullock, that, I don't know how to say that, I'm so behind with fashion. Thank you very much, as well as Adidas. But yeah, I guess Jamal's getting attention, and then Chido says that we call it beer balls in my area. Yeah, so, yeah, dude, I also think it was a little bit of like liquid courage. It was just so dumb, and it's like, okay, first off, it's very hard to find like Jamal Charlo fans these days in general. Okay. But say you could find them, like, I think everybody knows this is cap, right? I mean, I don't even think Jamal was buying what the hell he was saying. And it's like, yeah, oh yeah, you guys are going to make this fight. Let's shake hands. Like, oh, did you hear me? He was like, oh, let's fight undisputed. And he's like, oh, well, you only got one belt. Like, it was just like, Bivol was confused. Like, what do you mean undisputed? Like, neither of these guys have more than one belt. Like and then it's also at 168 where of course Canelo's the champion, right? So, and he's the undisputed champion, has all the belts. Like it was such a dumb, pointless call out. I do feel kind of bad for Jamal because I know his personal life is a little bit in shambles and it's not looking good for him in a couple of avenues based on what I've seen, but I mean, he just needs to get his ass in the ring, stop capping, and I mean, apparently he's going to fight Sulecki again, like in February or something like that. So, I mean, just another yearly tune-up for him. Like, it's kind of a blessing to be able to just kind of do like a yearly tune-up and survive and have that good quality of life. But as far as him being like a serious boxer, like, it's just getting fucking embarrassing, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. His career is just going right on by, man. I think we've all agreed. I think we've had talks about the Charlos and Jamal and Jermel, and I think we can agree like his career is like just going by. Or no, he's comfortable what he's doing. Like he's not in no hurry to try to fight anybody worthy. I mean, yeah, he's calling out people like, yeah, I'll fight Benavidez, I'll fight, Bivol, come to this is my weight division. He just sounds like an idiot, man. And I think most of everybody's just tired of it. But he's comfortable, man. I guess he's comfortable. I guess he's making pretty good money over there with Al Heyman at PBC. So he's in no hurry to do some shit. So
I think they probably like give him like a monthly salary. He's that type. He's got it like that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, see, that's what I think they do. I think Al Heyman just pays these dudes in checks. I don't think he pays them fully, but he kind of gives them like a very nice like monthly or weekly allowance, and then cuts them off money when they need it. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys were on this like hustle where it's like, oh, we're gonna pay you the mega money like when you get to the really big fights. But I think those fights might never happen, although I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But, dude, I mean, if you look at this picture, and Black and Brown made this point, and I was thinking the same thing when I saw it. It's like, dude, Jamal's bigger than Bivol, bro. He was, like, noticeably bigger. And it's like you got this this dude who's a middleweight. He's been hiding at middleweight for a long time. Should have been moved up, calling out a light heavyweight. Like, that's not gonna happen, bro. That's like two legitimate weight classes, two old school weight classes merging. Like, I doubt you're gonna go from once. Like, meet at 168. Although Bivol said he could do it, I mean, that's the other thing. Nobody's giving Jamal any heat for trying to bring Bivol down. Just more double standards. But like I said, nobody's really taking this call out seriously, anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking because Balenciaga shoes, they got like almost like a platform to them, right? Right, no problem.
Yep, they do. They look fucking super like huge, like they make you hella tall. So, and then even if you look at Bivol's outfit on, you can tell he has dress clothes on. So, what kind of shoes do you think he had on? Obviously, some dress shoes that were probably flat. They're flat. They don't elevate your height. So I don't think that he's bigger. I just think that, maybe the outfit, but I mean, they could meet at like 168, but we all know Jamal is too scared for that kind of shit. He's just using this. He's very smart, because what he does is he tries to call out the guys that he would never be able to fight anyways. And he uses that to clout chase, because he knows he has that Al Heyman protection. Al Heyman would never let him fight these guys because it would be outside of the network, So it's business as usual for this guy.
You just said, outside the network. Even people in his network, he's not fighting anybody worthy, bro. Like,
he's not even allowed to fight them guys, right?
No, not even those guys, dude.
Oh yeah, but he's gonna go fight Bivol, who's with whoever he's with. Yeah, right. Oh yeah, he's all of a sudden they're gonna make that fight. Like, come on, man, ain't nobody believing that shit. Although it would be nice to see him fight at 168. Like, maybe he just needs to take this next. If he's been out of the ring for so long, I mean, I'll say this about the Charlos. Like, they always seem to be like in pretty good shape. I've never seen one of them and thought, oh, these guys are fat right now. Like, can he make 160 right now? Like, it might be a lot easier for him to come in at 168, but then it's like he's gonna have to settle at that division, which is not the worst thing in the world. Like, you're not doing anything at middleweight anyways. Plus, your brother's looking to move up probably to 160. So shit, make some noise at 168. Maybe you could get that Canelo payday before it's too late, man. I think there's only like 3 to 4 Canelo paydays left, possibly. As far as like where the real money's at. So you better get at it.
Yeah. I can see him defending his belt his belt a couple of times at 168. And yeah, you're right. You should get on it.
Definitely, man. Well, here's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, man. I just want to chop it up about what we saw over the weekend. Prograis beats Cepeda, knocks him out. So, man, I want to know what you guys thought about the fight in particular. Also, I want to know if you guys think we're looking at the best 140-pounder in the world. Now, I've heard from a number of shows that I like the Roundtable, as well as the Shoe Shine. There's this idea that, yes, Prograis might be the best 140-pounder in the world. A lot of people are saying that he beat Taylor. A lot of people saying Taylor isn't even the same guy that he used to be, and Prograis seems like the man now. So I want to know what your guys' overall thoughts are on all of that. Are we looking at the best 140-pounder? Georgie, what do you think?
I would say, with the fight, obviously watching it, I watched it live. I'll say Cepeda and Prograis. It was a good fight. I think Cepeda definitely had his moments early on, and I think if he was going to do something, like, it would have to have been early, and he would have had to get Prograis respects in the first couple rounds, and he did land some good shots. I think he even landed like a good left hand. I want to say like in the 9th or 10th round, like the round right before he got stopped. But Prograis, I'm pretty high on this guy. I know we've talked about him a couple times in that division. I know he lost to Josh Taylor. I didn't get a chance to try to rewatch that one. I might just do it on my own time just to see what I really thought. Because again, I didn't really watch it fully live. But I was very impressed. And with Prograis, you hear too that he's got a good motor. Like, he's pretty much at that same pace all the way to the very end, and he was pretty much at that same pace all the way to the end when he stopped him. He's like at that erky jerk, movement, a good jab. I think the very basics were established early for Prograis, and it was him setting that tone with that jab and making Cepeda a little uncomfortable. And obviously he hits hard too. So, anytime you got that hits hard, I mean, you're gonna take some chances pretty early, which Zepeda did early on. But I think as the fight went on, I don't think I think he kind of expected maybe Prograis to slow down, or maybe some of the steam was gonna come out of those punches. But he stayed pretty consistent all the way to the very end, up until the stoppage. Um, as far as him being the best person, the best fighter at 140, I mean, I you could definitely put him up there at number one and number two. We don't know what's going to happen with Josh Taylor. Is he going to move up? He's supposed to fight Catterall again. Teofimo's another name out there. I think I've always liked Teofimo. Maybe he might be a little undersized for 140, but this is boxing, and size really don't matter when it comes to to these fights, especially like if you're close within that division. But I think those are kind of the names there. I mean, Ryan Garcia's name is thrown in there as well, but he's got a fight, I think, at either 139 or 135. And the 139, I guess, of course, is against Tank Davis later on in the year if that does happen. But I do agree. I do think that Prograis definitely is most likely the best guy there at that division. And definitely some names there. You have Arnold Barboza. He's another good name there at 140. It'd be good to see a rematch. Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez is another good name out there, but I think in that Josh Taylor fight, I feel like that took something out of Ramirez. And that would still be a competitive fight, but I think if I was to line up any of these guys up against Prograis, like I would have to favor Prograis at 140 over most of these guys.
Man, that was great stuff, George. Great breakdown, man. Including the fight itself, man. And El Chido Boxing says, well, Teofimo better slow down Prograis. We'll shut him up. Okay. Teofimo better slow down Prograis. We'll shut him up. Okay. Well, okay. All right. That's a discussion that certain people are having. I want to take a look at the top 10. So this is just a quick top 1 through 7, including the champion, Josh Taylor. And then this wraps up with some other guys I never heard of. And then we also got Teofimo in the wings, ready to make his way up. Nopal, what did you think about Prograis against Zepeda, bro? And do you think that he is currently the best at 140 pounds?
Well, I kind of like the first round. I was looking at it very optimistically because, it appeared like Zepeda would have like a better control of the range.
I thought so too. For the record, I thought Zepeda looked pretty good early, but go ahead, man.
So, so I was looking at it very optimistically in the second, but right away, the dude. I mean, I don't know if he changed game plans or whatever, but he could have did it if he just kept him at a range. Don't let him get close to you. As soon as he steps in, step out. You know what I mean? And just pop him with the jab and all that. But I guess Prograis just took over his smooth style and all that, his angles. Herky jerky, like our boy George says. And he ended up getting the knockout. That was a really good fight, and is he the best at 140? I hate saying that because, obviously you still got Josh Taylor who beat him, who's the lineal champ. You know how important that is. He was once undisputed. So, you got that guy there. You got, Jose Ramirez. These are guys that you still got to beat. You know what I mean? To call yourself the best. And then you still got Teofimo, and you got all these other dudes that I don't know who the fuck they are. So, it's hard to just give somebody to say that he's the best.
Right. I know I have to agree with you. As far as like who is the best, I think it's fairly unsettled. I mean, if anybody is the best of the division, you'd have to say, well, in my opinion, it'd be more, it'd be better to say that it was Josh Taylor. But then again, some people think that Prograis did beat him. A lot of people I respect say that. A lot of people say that Josh Taylor got a gift against the number 3 ranked guy here on this little list, according to Ring Magazine, Jack Catterall. A lot of people thought Jack Catterall won that fight. We should go back and take a look at that one. But yeah, dude. And then, I honestly don't know some of these names. Like once we start getting to, so Gary Antoine Russell, I know him. Arnold Barboza, Georgie, I don't know much about him. You've seen this guy?
Yeah, he fights for Top Rank. He's pretty good. I know there was beef between our Barboza and Teofimo Lopez. I don't Barboza really hasn't fought anybody like of name, but he's definitely a name at that division at 140 that can make a splash. You know, he's good, he's skilled, he's quick. He's got some good punching power, and I again, you know, it is hard to really say like who the best is. I think when you look at the list that you have posted right here, like if you look at it, I believe that's how you would have like the 140 division like the best. Like if we were to say who, it's hard to really say which ones, but I would definitely put, you know, Josh Taylor and Prograis, and only because officially Josh Taylor does have a win over Prograis in the books, right? You know, but yeah, Arnold Barboza, he's a good fighter. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they have for him next year in 2023, especially at 140.
Nice. Is he Mexican?
Yeah, he's Mexican.
All right, I like him
He's from
already.
California.
Oh shit, even better.
And guys, don't forget, he still has to beat Tank at a catch weight. You know what I mean, with the rehydration clause and all that.
That's true. You know, I guess I could have put Tank on here. I guess technically, well, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, Haney's not too far from entering the 140-pound division. You know, and that's true. That's a consideration. Yep. I want to give a shout out to Dave from the 408. The Shoe Shine just had a show yesterday. It was a great episode, man. Short and sweet. It was nice to see the homies again. Dave and Drew Evo. What's up? He says he's at work listening, man. We're glad that you're here. But yeah, dude, we're going to rescore it, man. We're going to take a look at Taylor versus Prograis. We're going to take a look at Taylor versus Catterall. George or Nopal, do you guys know any of these, like these last three guys right here? These guys?
No, not me.
No, not familiar.
All right. Well, hey, you know, it's nice to see that, you know, these names are here for us to take a look at. We got somebody from the Dominican Republic, from Russia, and Uzbekistan. All right, so they're all international. That's good. But yeah, dude, I got to say, you know, I agree with what you guys were saying in regards to like Prograis' skill set. Very good skill set. You know, I find myself appreciating Prograis more and more. On top of that, too, you know, like I thought he was a bit smaller than he actually is. Like, and then I went back and I rewatched the Taylor versus Prograis fight. And I know Taylor's pretty huge, but, you know, Prograis was actually a decent size himself. Like, he wasn't bigger than Prograis, but it wasn't like he was like super small next to him. I thought that the height advantage that Taylor had, it wasn't that big of an advantage. Like, I think that Prograis is a very decent size for 140. He's not undersized. I could see why he thinks it's ideal for him to stay at 140 pounds. Now, I happened to take a look at the Prograis versus Taylor fight, and I remember, and I discussed this with you guys the last time, like when I saw it, I was at work. I kind of saw like from like round 3 to 12, roughly, something like that the first time around. And I thought, no, you know, Taylor won. But, you know, when I watched it, I found myself giving a narrow decision to Prograis. So 7-5, like most people have it, but I could have seen it either way. Like, in my opinion, I do think that there were some swing rounds. The theory that, well, if this fight was in the United States, Prograis would have won. I think that's possible. I think it's possible you could have given it to Prograis, but it was very competitive. It was not a one-sided fight either way. I think it was one of those could have gone either way type fights. Now, Prograis versus Ramirez, like say that fight does happen coming up soon. That fight would interest me. You know, it's like I think that Taylor is just a better version of Ramirez in a lot of ways. I hate saying it like that, but I think that, you know, Taylor presented problems to Prograis that just Ramirez could not bring to Prograis. Taylor has a lot of grit, just like Ramirez, and I think Ramirez is willing to go out on his shield. But I think Prograis, like you said, Georgie, he's got a really nice skill set, man. You know, he's got a really, really great jab. He's good at fighting on the inside, like very, very good inside fighter. You know, at least for the first half of the fight, like his head movement's excellent. Like, man, you could just miss that guy. He's just quick and elusive, right? He can fight from all the ranges, and he's got a really nice tempo where he can kind of like throw you off and then go boom, come right in, right? I'm really impressed with his skill set. And then I see him beating Catterall. I see him beating everybody that I know of here on this list. Besides possibly Taylor, I think Taylor might be able to do it again and make it close. But then again, how long will he stay at 140 pounds, man? I have my doubts about him staying in this division much longer. And as far as him facing Teofimo Lopez, well, I think that one's really interesting, fellas. Like, because, you know, Teofimo, like, yeah, you know, people don't think he's that hot anymore, but, you know, there was a lot of buzz, and, you know, he's still got that power, and he might not be as drained. Like, I think Teofimo could probably hit Prograis up with something he's never been hit with before in his whole life. I think that he's a better power puncher than Taylor, and I think we're going to see that here pretty shortly. And the other thing I wanted to say, too, about Prograis is, like, I feel like he kind of got started a bit late, man. Like, it's like I've never seen so much respect for a 33-year-old who's accomplished so little. And I'm trying to say that with respect because, yeah, you know, he's the champ now, okay? But, you know, he picked up a vacant – didn't he fight for, like, a vacant belt after Crawford Crawford moved up. Like it was against some guy. Like what was his name? Like Kyrie something. Like nobody knew who those guys were. You know what I mean at the time. And if you look before that, bro, Prograis didn't fight anybody. Okay, he didn't fight anybody. And now we have him winning another vacant title that was stripped from the undisputed lineal champion because that champion is trying to run it back against a fighter that a lot of people thought that beat him. So he's trying to run it back. And now we got this guy who's, in my opinion, he's just a title holder, a trinket holder. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, this guy's the champ. I mean, even in their promotional stuff in regards to the Prograis versus Zepeda fight, they were sitting there saying, oh, this is the best versus the best. I'm like, how is Prograis versus Zepeda the best? Like, it's hardly the best. On top of that, too, the fight was pay-per-view, and it's like, I felt like everybody was just kind of quietly saying, okay, well, these guys are both real hard workers, so like we're not going to give this fight too much crap for being pay-per-view because we want to respect guys like Zepeda and Prograis, but that fight was not pay-per-view,
It was not.
No, and I want to give a shout out to Nando Yamas. What's happening, Nando, man? We're here just kicking it, bro. We're just talking. Glad that you're here. But yeah, dude, like he's been fighting for over 10 years now. So he's been in the game for 10 years. And from Prograis, like I think that we've seen very little. Like from what we've seen, it's almost like, and he looks young. So you'd almost think that we're seeing like this kind of like young up and comer, but get actually kind of like he's slowly fading. He's not going to get any better. He's 33.
Chicano? God damn. It's because they're short, huh? They look hella young and shit.
Yeah, sometimes people look young, but I mean, Teofimo's 10 years younger than this dude, bro. 10 years younger, and in fact, like obviously way more accomplished than Prograis, in my opinion. So I mean, like it's interesting to me how much respect Prograis gets. Like, just everybody's just like, oh, Prograis so good, it's so good. It's like, well, if everybody took their sweet damn time and fought for 2 vacant titles by the time they were in like their early 30s, like I mean. Shit, that'd be the easy route because, like, nobody's really going to be giving this guy crap. And I'm not saying that we need to give this guy some crap. I'm just saying we need to keep it all in perspective. Like, he's not very accomplished at all. He's got a bunch of tomato cans.
Or expect a little more out of him. Right?
I mean, from my understand, like I said, I've followed him a couple years now, and I know every fighter does call people out, right? But no one was really lining up to want to fight Prograis either. So, I mean, it's kind of like out of your way, out of your hands. I mean, if you're calling these fights out, and they're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get it signed right. Like Charlo, for instance, he's calling all these people out, but his track record proves that all these people that he's calling out, it kind of falls onto Charlo's hands and it don't get made. But it's kind of like the same thing I think with Regis here. Like when I think he had like 9 or 10 fights, and he was calling out like Terrence Crawford, everybody else. But what guy that has that little bit of that less fights? What guy doesn't call people out? But from what I can remember, no one was really lining up to fight a Prograis either.
Who's been promoting him though? You know what I mean? Because it appears like he's got another sad case where he just can't get fights. That would appear like it too. Like he's never been in position to get the fights that he's calling people out to have. And wasn't he promoted by Bob Arum for a while? And right now he's just got this weird like promotion.
I want to say it was, I think, Showtime. I know he fought a couple of times on Showtime.
I'll be honest, I don't remember him till the Taylor fight. I don't remember anything that he did before. That's when he was on the radar. You know what I mean? And I did not imagine that he was already 30 years old. I thought he was a youngster.
33. He's older than Canelo, bro. And
no, I meant back then, Chicano, when he.
Oh no, I hear you. No, I hear you. But I'm just, and I guess I'm just reinforcing the point. Like, okay, the first time I remember Prograis was when he was in that World Super Series or whatever the hell you call that thing. Whatever Josh Taylor like won, whatever he's holding right there, that trophy you see. I remember him the fight before he won the title. Like that's where I kind of remember him, and he was on my radar. I really liked the skill set. I mean, so he did get in a tournament, and he did win a strap, and it did benefit him, and he got to unify with Taylor. So he's already had 2 really big fights. He went up against Taylor, went overseas. You got to give him respect. So George, in my opinion, it sounds like you're not necessarily calling him the boogeyman, but more like he just couldn't get the fights that he wanted. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes it happens that way where it just depends, like Paulo just said, like who was promoting him. And I think that tournament, I could have sworn that tournament was like on Matchroom or The Zone.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it happens that way, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of fighters that
didn't
like,
go to it, right? Because
yeah,
the
it didn't
promoter
get it.
wouldn't let
Yeah,
him.
exactly. I mean, yeah, it's kind of tough to really say because I do remember, like I said, I do remember that tournament. I think being like on Matchroom or the Zone because it was over there overseas. Um, I know there was a couple of fights. I'm gonna have to really look more into it, but I know that nobody was really lining up to want to fight him because he was kind of like that guy that you kind of really don't know, like a high risk, low reward type of thing. It's like, okay, if I go and fight, one of the champions decides to go and fight Prograis, and chances, goes in there to chances belt. It's like, okay, well, I'm fighting a guy that really nobody knows. Like, is it worth it?
And you
I
know
mean,
what? For that Super Series, they only did 2 divisions, right? They did light heavy. I mean, cruiserweight, and they did. I think they did 140. So obviously, they chose the divisions that where they wouldn't have any trouble with promoters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People that were willing to go ahead and do it. Because it would have made no sense for them to do it at like welterweight because none of the promoters would have played ball. You know what I'm saying?
Very
mm.
true.
And for what it's worth, I do remember that era. It was right after the Taylor fight where it seemed to me like Prograis did fall through the cracks. Nobody was really in a rush to fight this guy, even though he was a former title holder. Also put up a very good fight against Josh Taylor and was kind of a high profile name. As far as like high profile names at 140, he's got to be up there. I mean, there's just not that many big names at 140, although it's slowly becoming a pretty hot division.
Mm-hmm.
Nando Yamas here says, I'm still down with Teofimo. Top rank too. If they given him the spotlight next Saturday after the Heisman Trophy show. And then El Chido here is disagreeing, saying, nah, don't start cap for Tio, bro. Let Punch Drunk do that. All right. Okay, well, no ball. Okay, so I think that Georgie and I have given our opinion on this whole Prograis versus Teofimo fantasy fight. If you listen to Teofimo in interviews, he wants that smoke. He's ready to move up. He says after this Sandor Martin fight, like and I believe him. There's no reason to believe that this guy does not want all the smoke and is ready to fight the top guys. He's calling out Prograis, calling out Taylor. He's calling out whoever's holding the title. And Prograis has talked back a little bit, kind of saying like, hey, man, I like him. He's a nice guy, but he better think twice before calling me out. So that's how it's sounding right now. Nopal, what do you think about that potential matchup?
Man, great fight, bro. We'll see what Delfimo brings to the table. You know how good he actually is fighting a guy like Prograis. There would be a great fight. Like I would imagine something toe to toe, kind of. With a little bit of slickness, and I think it'd be a great fight. But I also think that Delfimo needs a little more experience at 140.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Prograis, who's proven at this point. So. It's a great fantasy fight, but at the same time, I think that Delfimo needs to fall back a little and not let his mouth get him into problems because, even though the Lomachenko fight did pay off, it was a bit of a risk, but it did pay off. That's not to say that this would pay off with Prograis this early. Just wait a little bit, get a little more accustomed to 140, get a little more comfortable. Keep improving your skills, and then we'll see in a couple of years. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If this fight's delayed at all, I mean, it only benefits Teofimo Lopez, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's super young. And, Prograis is going to turn 34, 35. I mean, shit. I mean, that's where you would want him, right? But, I mean, right now, so you're saying that you think – did I just hear you kind of indirectly say that you favor Prograis? I feel like that's what I heard in a way.
I didn't say that at all, but you could, yeah. I mean, you could,
So I did hear it that way.
I mean, we all got our own set of ears, bro. Whatever you heard,
So just tell me straight, no Paul. Dude, you're ducking and dodging. You're telling me that you
saying yes. I'm not saying no.
Damn.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree with Nopala, man. I can't give you like a definite yes or no, and there's so many factors, right? I mean, I've always liked Teofimo. Even before the Lomachenko, and then even in the Kambosos fight, again, everybody was shocked that he lost, and even with his injuries, even with his back against the wall in that fight, like he still showed heart all the way to the very end, but he lost some early rounds. I think a very focused Teofimo, going into this with no distractions outside the ring, especially personal, like. He's pretty much unbeatable, and I still ride high with Teofimo.
Yep.
Right now, I think at 140 in this moment, like if we we're talking about now or in the next year, like I feel like it is Prograis' time, you know, and because of his age. So yeah, he hasn't fought in a while. This is his first fight, I think I would say like in over a year maybe. So you know, now's his time. Now is definitely his time. So if he's gonna make a splash or continue to keep going on this run, like it's got to be name after name after name, and hopefully can knock these guys off. But I would say in the future, man, if they don't get that rematch with Josh Taylor, I could see definitely Teofimo and Prograis being the fight to make at 140.
Oh man, and it would be a great fight too. And you're right. There's no clear winner because I mean we just don't have enough information. And on top of that, these two are both they're both game. They both have grit. I mean, I could see it just really being quite a battle, you know. And yeah, I think Prograis would have the height and length advantage, but you know we'd have to look into that. On top of that, you know, Teofimo, now that he's at 140, and we were talking about stunt growth a few episodes back, like he might have the opportunity to grow a little bit now that he's trying to make 140 instead of 135. So he might be a bit bigger and a lot stronger than he was just a couple fights ago.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Nando here says that Prograis is a Twitter favorite, maybe because he's so good with them Twitter fingers. He's quick crying about his check yesterday. Yeah, he was talking about his bounce check on Twitter. You know, I'm glad he got paid. It sounds like he got paid. And El Chilo says Prograis will do way better than Cambosis. He's more slick. Yeah, dude, that's the other thing. Like, so not only does Prograis have grit, but he's slick, man. The way he dodges punches. Also, man, like, you know, I've been complaining that I think inside fighting is a lost art, but man, he's really good at inside fighting. Comfortable with sitting in the pocket, and you could tell that he thinks it's important. Like if you go back and watch that Taylor versus Prograis fight, like they're really fighting for front foot dominance towards the end, and it just makes for a much better fight. Like he's in there to try to win the rounds, to try to seal the rounds, and impose his will on the other guy, even if he might be outmatched strength wise and power wise. I'm not saying he necessarily was in that fight, but size wise, he was a little bit smaller, you know, and he was the one in there taking the risks, and it was really admirable because he can fight pretty well on the back foot. Like he's not bad at like popping a jab, kind of moving around a bit. But it's not really his preference. Like he likes to mix it up.
Yeah.
Nando here thinks that Taylor will kick Prograis' ass again. Man, well, you know, see, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's the other thing too. Like these fights are hot, man. Like I think people feel pretty strongly about Taylor versus Prograis one way or the other. And I think that Prograis versus Teofimo would also get some fan bases kind of riled up, you know. And as long as you're not like emotionally attached to either guy, like, I mean, that's a fight to look forward to. I mean, if that was like, I don't know, in Carson and I lived in California, I'd fucking go see that fight. I mean, that's a damn good fight.
Oh yeah.
I could see that our boy El Chido, he don't really, you know, like Teofimo.
I know. I'm wondering, A-Rod, is this like a new thing, bro? Like, or have you always not liked Teofimo, or are you off the train since he lost to Cambosis? I'm trying to remember. You know, but it's all right. You know, like I can see why people don't like Teofimo, but I'm still a believer in his potential. He's so young, and he's not damaged goods. You know, I'll tell you that.
If he could just shut up about the shit that he says sometimes, man, the dude would go so far if he didn't get on Twitter so much. You know what I mean? Or do these videos where he says all this other shit, man. I mean, he's so fucking talented, bro, and athletically gifted that, you know, if he just maybe got a therapist or some shit, bro, he would go so far, bro.
Yeah, you're right, man. And you don't want to see like I guess Adrian Broner, you could say, was kind of that same way too. You know, I always believe that Adrian Broner had a lot of potential.
Huh?
Yeah, he had a lot of potential, and you would hate to see someone with a talent like Teofimo, whether you like him or not. Like you got to respect. You know, he went in there and beat Lomachenko.
Yeah,
when Lomachenko was
that,
the guy.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. When
Lomachenko is still the fucking guy right now. So
yeah, he still is.
Who goes in there and does that shit like that? You know, fucking undisputed.
Exactly, man. I mean, that's a good point. You know, he went and fought Lomachenko when Lomachenko was a 3-1 favorite, and he went in there and beat Lomachenko clean, no matter what anybody says. And people are still having a hard time with that one, but all I can say is that I respect Teofimo. I'm still rooting for him. And, you know, he's a character, you know, like the characters like Teofimo, like Tyson Fury, you know, people who say crazy shit, like, I don't know, I think they're kind of good for the sport in a way. Like, I like seeing their personalities, you know, especially if they are willing to fight the top guys. Like, I believe Teofimo. Like, watch this. After the Martin fight, like, he's going to be gunning for some big fights. You know what I mean?
Man, I hope he pulls this off, bro. Knocks the fuck out of that dude. Knocks him the fuck out, bro.
Well, we're gonna see if Sandro Martinez really is elusive as we saw in that Mikey Garcia fight. Like, because he was just sitting there somehow, just evading Mikey Garcia's punches. And it's like, I mean, I didn't think that guy was all that slick. I mean, I understand he's like a defensive back foot kind of guy, but I didn't necessarily think that this guy's like a defensive wizard. Although 140 is Martin's natural weight class, he's not being brought up in weight this time. It is a 12 rounder.
I wonder if you could
What's
trick
that?
Sandor into some inside rough ass Mexican style fucking inside fighting, bro. He'd probably get his ass knocked out hella quick, huh?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, because the thing is like Martin was not scared to kind of circle around the ring. He was not scared to go back to the ropes. I don't necessarily see him as a guy who's willing to mix it up. And I'm trying to remember if I've seen Teofimo like effectively chase down somebody in the ring. Like usually, I feel like he doesn't really need to or hasn't.
Oh, that's true, huh?
Yeah, like when has he ever had to like chase somebody with some real legs? Like I'm trying to think. Like nothing comes to mind where like he had to find somebody. Usually they're there for him to hit. And even with the Lomachenko fight, like Lomachenko's obviously got that good movement, but the fight wasn't like that, but he was really patient, just kind of like, circling with Lomachenko, hitting him with that stick when Lomachenko would come in and try to make some noise when he would come in, because I do think that Lomachenko, like, I don't think he's necessarily a back foot fighter. Everybody talks about the angles, but he's like more of like a resetter, like a very quick resetter. So
and in and out and all that shit, huh?
Oh yeah. And then here Chido says, nah, Mikey's no good anymore. Aerial damage or something. I think Teofimo will beat Martin. All right. Nando here says, talk about excuses. Loma and his media fanboys. God damn. Well, they're going to have to accept it sooner or later. You know what I mean? And, they got bigger fish to fry because pretty soon the Lomachenko fans are going to have to worry about the Haney fight. You know what I mean?
Versus Haney.
Uh-oh.
It's close to being finalized, right?
Yeah, dude. It is. That's what they say, bro. I mean, they both want that fight. It makes sense for both of them. And then after that, Haney will enter 140. And Teofimo Sr. was talking some shit on an interview, and he was sitting there going like, oh, I feel bad. I think he was talking about Haney, or he was at least implying that he was talking about Haney. He's like, well, I feel bad for anybody who moves up to 140 and can't punch. Like, you're going to be in some real trouble. It's like, well, the mind games are beginning, But I do think that's true, man. Like, I mean, if your power doesn't carry up to 140, like those are bigger men. They're not going to be like Lomachenko sized anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know what? We also don't know. Maybe he can't punch because he's fucking killing himself to make 135. You know what I'm saying? And the rehydration and all that shit. So,
there's a good interview on Fight Hype. I actually watched it the other day. I don't think I sent it to you guys, but it was Shakur Stevens. And Shakur Stevens is another one of those guys, right, that is not known for his knockout power, but is known for his ring IQ, kind of the same thing like Devin Haney. And he was even saying, like, look at, at 130, like I'm during training, he goes, I feel like a killer. Like I'm hurting these people. Like I'm full 100% power. Fight night or the day before the fight, you got to make weight. Like it takes something out of you. So I'm not making excuses for Devin Haney or for Shakur, but I mean, we're not the ones that are feeling what these guys are feeling. So, I mean, and Shakur hasn't really been proven to be a liar yet. Like he's, he seems like a pretty standout dude, and he really wants to get these fights. And if he's saying, hey, look, I'm not myself 100% when I'm in that ring with power, I'm gonna give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt until when it's time to get to that weight class or that class where he says he feels like he's strong, and the knockdowns or the stoppages aren't happening. Then it's like, hey, you got to call a duck, right? I mean, not a duck, but you got to call it what it is. And he's just a guy that doesn't have power, which at least his skill will take him far enough. I think between Shakur and Haney, if they both ended up at 140 and they both aren't able to stop guys, I think Shakur's skill set can take him a little bit further than Haney.
That's true, man. And there's a lot of things with a lot of these fighters haven't learned to sit on their punches, and I mean, look at Tyson Fury. What a change, They used to call him Feather Fists. Nobody calls him that anymore. And there's other things too, that have to do with that. And Haney has a lot of time, And as far as what Shakur said, it's true. Plus that, with sparring, you got the headgear on, so that gives you a little bit more courage,
True.
As opposed to when he's fighting, sometimes he's a little scared to do certain things that he probably does when he's sparring, you know.
I mean, those are great points, fellas. And I saw that interview too, Georgie. And yeah, dude, I really like Shakur Stevenson. And you're right, dude. I think Shakur has a better skill set than Haney. Like, if you were to tell me, like, ask me, like, well, who's better? I would say Shakur's better, and it could carry him up further, in my opinion. On top of that, I think that he will do very well at 135, regardless of his power. And I do believe Shakur when he says, "Hey, listen, like, I feel like I'm gonna be a bit stronger at 135 pounds." So yeah, dude, I agree with everything that you said, and I just think that if I was to like analyze both of them, like, I just think Shakur is just the superior fighter. Athleticism, quick reflexes, countering, imposing his own will and his own game. Like, man, he's so good at setting a pace. Shakur can set a pace right away to make the other guy think quickly. And he hasn't even really done anything quite yet. He hasn't really done what he's going to do. Like, it's so impressive when he just comes out early and establishes the rhythm.
Yeah, it's like he's like he put his toe on the line, like, okay, this is my area right here. Like, I dare you. And then he even like he provokes you in a way that he gets you out of your rhythm. And I mean
comfort zone. Yep.
Totally.
Exactly.
And he'll like pop you. Like, if you're trying to have this be like a feel out round, he'll pop you a few times. Like, no, this is not a feel out round. Like, you got to be ready for me to throw at you at any time. And he's fast, really fast. And he's not a clincher like Haney.
Yep. That's the other thing too, right? I mean, yeah, that's very true with Haney, especially in his last Kambosos fight. It's like, come on, man. Like, is that really necessary? I don't know if it was Kambosos leaning into him and making it look like he was clinching him, but if this is Shakur is getting out of that range. He's not gonna get into a clinch and try to use like that dirty boxing or try to free up with one hand.
You know what's crazy though? When's the last time we got a fight with two slick ass African American fighters of this caliber? When's the last time that's ever happened, bro? It's like, I don't know if the boxing powers just make it where they don't want them to fight each other or whatever, but when's the last time? Was it just Hagler Hearns or what? Or who was it, bro?
I'd have to think, bro.
Damn, that's a good ass question.
Yeah, my mind is like reeling back, It has been a long time. Shit. I have to really think about
don't say Mayweather and Berto either.
I know, right? And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, Mosley's not really slick, so I was thinking Mayweather Mosley. I was like, no, that doesn't count, because Mosley's like a boxer puncher kind of guy, and he's not. I wouldn't call him slick. He's actually got a really funky rhythm, to be honest with you. I mean, it works for him, and I respect his skill set, but I wouldn't call Mosley slick. It's hard to say.
What's one I could think of right now?
Already, right?
Zab Judah and Mayweather.
Yeah,
that was good. Or how about Jermell versus who's the guy who beat him the first time?
Harrison.
Yeah, that was kind of like
that was pretty high level.
Yeah, it was pretty high level. 154. That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe at 154, we've seen some of that, And then it's here. El Chido says, nah, Haney made it look like it was Kambosos, but it was Haney that made the clinch happen. Well, then, that's the other thing too. I think they were both guilty a little bit. Like, they're both cochinos, man. And he says that Shakur messes with people's mind inside the ring, the way he's just laughing at them. And, Georgia, we've talked about that, how we find Shakur to be a bit cocky, but in a good way, like in that interview too, man, he said he wants Tank. He says like, hey, dude, all these guys, like, I think 135 is overrated. I'm here to take it over. He actually made an offer to Cepeda, and he said, okay, first offer has been out to Cepeda. Hopefully he responds. I believe him when he says that. He's calling out the guy who just like broke some kind of record for like punches at the 135 pound division or some bullshit like that. Like,
to Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
Tank probably won't take that fight till he can get like a catch weight, Well,
I think the longer this all goes, Tank just continues to look more and more like a punk. Like, dude, you're not a real champion at any division, bro. Like, just stop, bro. You're taking a tune-up to fight a social media star.
Shakur moves to 147, then tell him, all right, fool, let's meet at 140 with the rehydration clause, because I'm the 8th side on.
Exactly.
You know who Tank Davis is fighting, right?
Nah.
His name is Garcia. He actually is the one that fought. Oh my God, not Martin.
I know you're talking about Colbert. Yeah. Well, okay. Here. Sorry. Go ahead, Georgie.
Yeah, he beat Colbert. So, I mean, we don't really know who he is. But here's the other thing, though. He's making this dude come up in weight.
Oh, he is.
He actually campaigns at 130.
Exactly. He's a champion at 130, right?
He's got to have an advantage every single time,
motherfucker.
Well, here's the thing that bugs me about that whole thing.
Even with Ryan Garcia, huh? How'd he manage to do that, bro?
He gets away with everything, bro. But here's the thing that bugs me about that whole scenario. Okay, like all of a sudden everybody's acting like Garcia's like this bad dude to see. Okay, here's a couple issues that I have with that. One, for all the undisputed purists out there, like when Shakur took on what's that guy's name? That Brazilian guy's name? He just fought him.
Pedraza or something, or who?
No, who's that guy that Valdez fought?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Conceição.
Conceição, right. He didn't, Shakur didn't continue to unify. He decided to go the Conceição route. Nobody was sitting there going like, oh my God, there's this world beater at 130 you need to fight. Everybody was pretty much in agreement that the other champions really weren't worth seeing and going undisputed. Like that's what I got. I didn't hear anybody calling for Shakur to clean up the division, right? And on top of that too, then the Colbert thing, like I kind of knew about Colbert because of the way he promoted himself. He was kind of loud. I think he talked shit about Wilder, if I remember right. And he also had like some cheerleaders bring him into the ring once. So I knew who the guy was. And I liked the gimmick, but that doesn't mean that he was some great guy. So like to me, Garcia, he's kind of like a Johnny come lately. Like that doesn't make him like a worthy to fight Tank at 135 pounds. That's just what I think.
Oh, you mean the Garcia that he's gonna fight, or
the Garcia that he's gonna fight?
Okay.
I think that it's still a mismatch. I think that he's bringing up some dude. And dude, this guy beat Colbert, but I mean, it wasn't like I think he knocked him down if I remember right, but it wasn't a knockout or anything like that. Like, I mean, this guy doesn't have this type of power that Tank's going to need to respect. I think that Tank could just walk this guy down.
Yeah, that's true, man. I see you've been talking to Ray Charles, huh?
Well, dude, we've been bullshitting for a while, man. This it's been a while since I talked to you guys. That's probably why, man. I miss talking boxing with the homies, man. But dude, we are going to preview Chocolatito Gonzalez versus Estrada. The third fight is coming up this weekend, fellas, and we're very excited about it. But before we do that, man, we ended up taking a quick look at Chocolatito versus Estrada 1 and Chocolatito versus Estrada 2. And we did that because a lot of people feel very strongly about both fights, okay? And, I'm kind of new to the little guys in general, right? So I don't think I ever saw the first fight before I rescored it. I remember seeing the second fight, but I was kind of distracted. I remember thinking it was a fun fight, but I remember a lot of people being pissed off because a lot of people called that one a robbery as well. So we're going to get into it, man. Let's take a look at Chocolatito versus Estrada 1. Now, this fight was like 10 years ago or some bullshit like that at a lower weight class. We're going to get into it. Nopal, why don't you tell us about what you thought about this particular fight? This was at 108 pounds, right? So it was at a lighter weight class. I believe their second fight's at 115. We'll double check that. And I'm not sure what their third fight's at, to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm still catching up with the little guys. But Nopal, as far as this first fight goes, how'd you like it? And who'd you have winning this particular fight?
I really enjoyed this fight, bro. I had to watch it twice, to be honest, man, to get all the action. One time I watched it without the volume because, it was unbearable. I watched the one on YouTube, I guess. And, just those comments. At one point, they were calling I guess they were calling Chocolatito. They were calling him Ramon, which we all know his name's Roman, not too big a deal, I guess, for the Americans. But that's a big deal for us Hispanics. I don't know who they were fucking calling Garcia. I think that must have been Estrada. They messed up on that. But when I'm looking at a Gallo fight, I'm always just looking for him to establish his beautiful flow that he has, angles and all that, and his body shot combinations where he always starts at top and then just finishes to the body, and then he's out of there. And he was able to successfully do that in the first 4 rounds. And the third, I thought that Chocolatito was coming on a bit, so I had that a bit of a swing round, the third round. But nevertheless, I gave Gallo the first 4 rounds. Then I don't know what's up with Gallo. He kind of took these off. So Ramon Chocolatito was able to get, Roman, he was able to get the 5th and the 6th. And then from that point on, I thought that Gallo just took it home. Funny thing about Larry Holmes, he was fucking saying shit like, you don't want to do that with Chocolatito. Well, guess what? He did it the whole fucking fight, bro. And what Larry Holmes said was happening didn't happen, in my opinion. So, you know what? I only gave Chocolatito 2 rounds, bro, and I thought it was a joke. I thought the scorecards were a joke, 118 or 110. That would mean that they had it reverse of what I saw, which it's a possibility. What I see that happens a lot in boxing is like when you're not familiar with a boxer or whatever, and you're very familiar with the way the other guy fights, you won't be able to appreciate what he did inside the ring. And I think this is a classic case because uh, Gallo Estrada only had 17 fights under his belt on this one, and he was very young. And I think that that they missed the mark on this one. Just my opinion. I don't know what you guys scored it, but let's see.
All right. And Nando here's giving us some clarification. Yes, the annoying announcer in that fight, at least for the stream that I saw, was Larry Holmes. Georgie, before we go to you, man, did you do you have an opinion on Larry Holmes' commentary? Did you also listen to that garbage?
Yeah, he was calling out names that weren't Gonzalez and
Or sometimes he'd be
Gomez.
like,
I
"Hey,
think
my
he said.
man's doing this, but my other guy's doing this."
I'm all, who the was he watching the same fight we were watching?
Oh, it was bad. And it's like, okay, I don't know how many times I need to hear like, oh, Gallo. And not that he called him Gallo. Arsenal, he's like, oh, he needs to get off the ropes. Get off the ropes. See? And it's like, dude, you could tell even the announcers were getting a little annoyed with Larry Holmes. At first, when I heard Larry Holmes was going to be commentating, I'm like, oh, cool. I know who Larry Holmes is, and I know where he's at historically. I'm like, sweet. It'd be nice to hear him. But he was starting to get annoying. Even the announcers were starting to talk over him towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me ask. I'll ask this: when's the last one? I mean, did Larry Holmes do another commentating after this one?
I don't think so, man. It's like I could see if it's one thing. If it's like, wow, Larry Holmes is here. Let's get him to sit down. But it's like and then you figured that Larry Holmes would know his place. But it felt like he was there to commentate. And man, like if you're like a self-critic, like you figure you would be like, man, he needs to clean it up. Like you didn't even know the guys' names, dude. Like it was embarrassing, bro. It was really embarrassing. And he was kind of even talking shit about like the lower weight classes too. Like it was just funny, man. I was just like I feel like he hijacked the enjoyment of this fight, and he didn't really narrate it like as well as the other announcers did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, in regards to the fight, but I'm glad we did talk about that because I did want to talk about Larry Holmes. Looks like Nando has that seared into his memory as well. Okay, so Noteball here because classified this first fight as a robbery, 10-2, right, Noteball?
Yeah.
Oh,
all right,
shit.
and he feels very strongly about it.
I thought that he won the 12th round hella strongly. He closed out hella good, but I did make round 3 and 10 and 11 a swing. These are rounds that round 3 I gave to Gallo, but actually yes, I gave all these to Gallo, but I do recognize that these could have been swing rounds.
All right, fair enough. Georgie, how do you feel about the first fight, man? And how'd you like it? What were you seeing?
This was 2012. I mean, I remember very briefly of the fight. And of course, in the first two, there was controversy. There was like this guy won, that guy won. They weren't giving a fair shake to each guy. I mean, this is a Chocolatito fight. It's kind of what you expect, and I could definitely see the whole bias, favoritism, and especially at that time too, because he was a little unknown, but they had him like on that pound for pound list. I remember that like in the top, and I think people were like, "Well, we haven't really heard of him, but he's dominating the smaller divisions." And I want to say, at least what I feel is, maybe he put the lower divisions up on notice, from like his era, like right at 2011, 2012 up until now. Because even then, people weren't really talking about it as much as they are now. And I mean, it's not like there's a big buzz for it now, but now you're starting to get more names. You're getting more recognition. Like you got like the Inoways, Chocolatito, Bam Rodriguez. So I guess you could say he kind of put the smaller guys on notice more than they normally have. But this was a good fight, man, and both guys showed great skill. Chocolatito, what you expected. He inside, he's a good inside fighter. He's got good rhythm. He's never in a bad position to land punches or to make a miss. I feel like the early rounds slightly favored Gonzalez. But I did have the only 2 swing rounds I had, actually 3, I'm sorry, was 2, 4, and 10. And I want to say probably about like the 8th round is where I feel like Estrada started to take over, or not just take over, but like those became his rounds. Watching the first few rounds, I wasn't sure exactly what Estrada's game plan was. You can tell like he was still trying to figure out Chocolatito. Even though I gave Estrada out of the first 6 rounds, I gave him 2 and 4, and like I said, 2 and 4 and 10 were like the swings. But as this fight went on, you can see Estrada, implement more of his game plan, right? Obviously, so I feel like he won from 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I feel like he won those last rounds. There were close rounds too. I mean, I think I could have switched some of those rounds to swing rounds. I thought he had a good dominating performance. The body work, I feel like, is what closed it in for Estrada in those close rounds. Robbery, I don't know if I would say robbery, only because I had this score a little bit closer. I had 7-5 Estrada, so but I feel like Estrada won this one.
All right, thank you very much, Georgie. So Estrada won, but not necessarily a robbery.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, it was kind of like one round could have determined a draw. And like when you're watching these fights, man, you almost are like, well, damn, I would hate to be a judge in this one because yeah, there was a lot of back and forth. Um, so I feel like if Gonzalez wins one more round, it could have easily been a draw. But I feel like Estrada won this 7-5.
Oh yeah, you said it, man. Thank you so much, George. But you're right, man. A lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of back and forth, and just so much activity. So much activity. A lot could happen in one round, man. And I I thought this fight was really good. Like I said, this was the first time that I actually saw it. I did not see this fight when it came out 10 years ago. But my initial impressions of this fight were I felt like the first half of this fight to me it kind of looked like Barrera versus Morales one, where it's like Chocolatito being Barrera and Estrada being Morales in the sense that like I felt like Chocolatito was the guy kind of throwing like the heavier punches with mean intention. Well, I felt like Estrada was kind of just kind of fighting on the back foot a little bit, but also just tagging Estrada, right? And one of the commentators made a really good point. He kind of said, "Well, what do you like? Do you like the machine gun or the rocket launcher?" And I thought that was perfect. Like that's how I viewed this fight initially for like the first half. Like I felt like when Estrada did put his punches together, man, it's like you could tell those were like the more solid combos. On top of that, he was a little more front foot heavy than Gonzalez. I mean, but they were also both doing what they wanted to do. Now, my rounds are a little bit different. I guess they're slightly similar to Nopal towards the beginning. Like during the first 6 rounds, I gave Gonzalez uh, rounds 1 and 5, but I also thought 3 was a swing, Nopal. And if I recall, you thought 3 was a swing. 6 I gave to Estrada, but I thought that could have been a swing. And then I gave Gonzalez round 7, 8, and 9, and then 11. But I also thought round 10 could have been a swing. I thought a lot of these rounds were quite competitive, but I do think that both fighters made good accounts of themselves. And on top of that too, I felt like in round 9, it could have gone either way for sure, because I felt like that was a round where both guys were taking the round off. That's what I felt. And so I scored this fight 6-6, but I gave Estrada all 3 swing rounds. So if anything, and I kind of felt this way afterwards before I actually tallied it up, I thought a draw was fair, but I felt like if either of these guys were going to get the decision, I felt like it should have gone to Chocolatito, and it looks like it did. So I saw it differently than you guys, but we're going to classify this one as not a robbery, but it was a very good fight to watch, and I enjoyed watching it.
No, you're right. It was definitely one of those revisit some of these old fights. It was enjoyable to me. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Well, sweet man. Well, in that case, if anybody, Nopal, you got anything to say about this fight before we move on to the second one?
Nah, I'm good, bro.
All right. Well, we ended up taking a look at the second one for your entertainment, and we ended up looking at this WBC, WBA, and Ring Magazine Super Flyweight Unification that was only a couple years ago, right? So this fight was like 10 years later or some shit like that, right? At a higher weight class, 115 pounds. So 10 years later, 7 pounds higher. Chocolatito's now in his mid 30s, and I think Estrada's just like right in his early 30s around this fight. So a lot of things have changed. Also, they're a bit more vulnerable now. I think they've both taken some more losses since then. But I mean, long careers we're talking about, but we'd been waiting for this fight for a long time. People were, and we got it. The second fight, we're doing the rescore. Georgie, let's start with you this time around, brother.
Okay.
How did you like this fight? Did you see any differences in the dynamics, and who'd you have winning? And do you classify it as a robbery?
Yeah, there was definitely in the beginning, obviously, when you rematch you obviously go back to the drawing board and see some of the things that you could do differently. And I could tell Estrada looked more like he had more of the game, like the game plan changed for him a little bit going into the second fight. But Chocolatito, I think what you get from Chocolatito is what you see. Like, he makes adjustments, head punches, body punching, good defense. He makes you miss. He's never in bad position to land a punch or even to be out of the way of getting hit. So I think what Chocolatito, what makes him a great fighter is he makes adjustments in the fight. And Estrada, I think he did some of those things early as far as adjustments. And without realizing it, at the end of the fight, I want to say Sergio Mora mentioned that Estrada kind of went away from the body work, which was good in the first fight. And I'm like, that's kind of true. Like, I wouldn't see too much body work, and especially if you're known as a body puncher, like, you should stick to what you're known at. And I didn't see too much of him, going to the top, going to the bottom. This one also was another good fight. Yeah, it happened in 2021, so almost pretty much two years ago. And I'm excited that this third fight is happening a little bit sooner than like the rematch compared to the first fight. I'll start with saying that I had the swing. I only had 2 swing rounds in this one, which was the 3rd and the 11th. The third round swing round I did give to Estrada, and then I gave Chocolatito the 11th round as far as the swing. I did give Chocolatito this one. I mean, I think it was to me, like, it just showed, again, adjustments on fly, his skill. I didn't see Estrada going to the body. I think if he went to the body, he could have slowed down Estrada. He could have slowed down Chocolatito a little bit more here. And just like in the first fight, I actually have it this way, going Chocolatito 7 rounds to 5. And no, this wasn't a robbery.
All right. Thank you very much, Georgie. That was great stuff. Nopal, what did you think about this fight, man?
You know what, bro? I honestly, I was only able to watch the first 7 rounds. Yes, I did watch it live, of course, but the first time when I watched this fight, I let myself kind of get carried away with the announcers. And the first 7 rounds, what I was able to see is that they were completely off on everything they said. Mannix had a fucked up ass scorecard, and
he sure did.
I gotta say that it's a crime for you to pretend like you're so ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the rounds that I did score, I gave just the 4 and the 5 to Chocolatito. I thought that Gallo was in his flow and he's doing his thing, man. I thought he was landing punches from all over the place, and I did get a chance to kind of look at the compy box a little bit, and it just slightly favored Gallo, I believe, by this time in the fight. Now, like I said, it was just 7 rounds I was able to score, so I'm interested to see your guys' scorecards. But at the same time, on both of these fights, I'm open-minded enough, man. Whoever, because I mean, the commentary heavily favored Chocolatito, and then at the end of the fight, he starts crying, saying that he kind of like he might have gotten robbed, or I don't know if it was a hard fight or he's been through a lot of struggles and everything. And you got to understand, this is everybody's sweetheart right here. People absolutely love Chocolatito, bro, because he is a good guy. But, that is an unfair advantage. And, when you're scoring a fighter that you love like that or have that appreciation for, of course you're going to favor him and you're going to give him all the rounds.
Very nice, Nopal. So, based on the rounds you scored and kind of what you remember, you would classify this one as not a robbery, yeah? Nopal? Boxeanos? Well, that's what it sounded like to me, man. And then
did it cut off on
yeah,
me,
bro. We didn't hear anything, my man.
Oh, what did you guys hear?
Nothing, bro. I asked you a question and then it went dark on you.
Oh, damn. Okay, what question did you ask me?
So, based on what you remember and the rounds that you scored, this is definitely not a robbery in your mind.
Oh, this second fight? No. But like I said, I only scored 7 rounds, so it is what it is, bro. I could see it going either way, you know.
Hmm. And Nando here says that, fun fact, Gallo is the only one of the four horsemen, which is Gallo, Cuadras, Chocolatito, and Rungvisai, to beat all other three. That's very interesting, man.
I
Damn.
think that's a very good point that Nando is making, because whether you think that that Gallo got robbed or whatever, I mean that Chocolatito got robbed, there is the fact that he will never beat Rubensai, who beat him twice. So, that's a big point in my opinion when you think about the big picture in this whole situation. Gallo managed to beat everybody, so there's that.
Yeah, and as far as media darlings go, like I said, I'm kind of new to watching the little guys and taking note and really getting into their fights. So I kind of missed the whole Chocolatito being the media darling thing, although I did see it because he's been around for a long time. So I do know what you guys are talking about. I mean, and he is a good guy. I don't know much about Estrada, but he seems like a really nice guy too. And from what the commentators were saying, it seems like Chocolatito and Estrada have a lot of mutual respect for each other. But you're right, Nopal, that Manic's scorecard was complete garbage. The other thing that bugged me about the way he was talking about his scorecard is like he didn't even really indicate that some of these rounds could go the other way. He was just making it seem like, oh, maybe there's a couple rounds that could have gone some other way, but he was making it sound like what he was seeing was the scorecard, right? And that kind of pissed me off. But I don't listen to Mannix, but yeah, this is one of the worst, like as far as like following him and what he's doing and what I'm looking at, like, man, I couldn't disagree with them more. But keep in mind, Chris Mannix, his background is even in boxing. Like he's from other sports, like it's not worth taking what he says seriously in general, right? He's kind of a Johnny come lately. I don't, just because you have a mic and you're on the zone doesn't mean that what you say carries any weight with anybody. That's all I got to say about Chris Mannix, right? But as far as this particular fight goes, yeah, you guys both made really great points, man. And one of the points that you made, Nopal, that I want to piggyback on is the fact that, yeah, dude, I feel like Gallo Estrada really came out with a new, nice pace. Like it was a much different dynamic from the first fight. And you could see that he was a lot more confident with his own punching power and being able to kind of bring it to Chocolatito. And I thought that the pace was real nice and he was throwing with really good intentions. In that first fight between the two, like I felt just like Chocolatito's punches were just more meaningful. Like and in this rematch, I felt like it evened out a little bit. Like I think Chocolatito still had maybe a little bit more mustard, but you could tell that Estrada was really sitting on his punches, not scared to get in there, not scared to establish his own front foot dominance. And I really like the way he fights. Like, even if he resets it so quick, like he's never out of range, really. Like he's always just jumping into like outside range, and Chocolatito might not be fast enough to kind of close the gap or even to kind of throw from long range. Chocolatito doesn't really seem like a guy who's really ready to utilize his jab or his cross. Like he'll use it. To me, it looked like he was using his hooks more than his jab, right, on his lead hand. But on top of that, he was a smaller guy anyway, so it might have not worked, but it benefited Estrada to kind of be on the outside a little bit. In mid-range, it was kind of equal. And then I think you could possibly give Chocolatito the edge on the inside fighting. But then again, Estrada held his own. He had his own moments on the inside. There were lots of ebbs and flows. And so I gave Estrada rounds 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. I gave Estrada this fight 7-5. And then I thought that there were some swing rounds, and the swing rounds were split. I gave Gonzalez rounds 2 and 3, but I thought you could give those to Estrada. I thought this fight was pretty close and competitive the whole way through. I also gave Estrada rounds 7 and 8. And I thought you could make an argument that Gonzalez had won those rounds. I thought there were a lot of swing rounds, in fact, but I only put 4 down. But I think this could have gone possibly to Chocolatito, but I thought the right guy won, in my opinion. And I was surprised. Like when I tallied it, like I just said, oh, wow, Estrada really did pull this off. I know that there was a lot of outrage about this one being a quote unquote robbery. I personally didn't see it that way when I watched this fight. I thought that Estrada got the win he deserved, could have gone the other way, but I felt like the right guy did win. So I would classify this one as not a robbery. And as you guys can see, Estrada was the favorite, almost a 2-1 favorite in this fight. I did like the fight though, and the dynamic was much different. And we saw the style change between the first and the second, and that's going to tell us a little bit about the third. And we're going to get into that right now, unless either of you have anything to say in regards to this fight right here before we move on.
No, none.
All right. Well, let's get to it, man. We learned a little bit watching both those fights, and now it's the trilogy, the rubber match between Estrada and Chocolatito this weekend. we are excited. We're excited to see this fight, and I want to know what you guys think as far as predictions goes. Georgie, why don't you break down this fight for us, and let us know what you think about this one, man.
Okay. I will be there in attendance, so I'm pretty excited.
That's right.
Um,
Our homie Georgie is going to be in
yeah,
Phoenix for this one, man.
yes, I
Tell us about
am.
the setup, man. Who you're rolling with? You know, like what time do you like to get there? You're going to catch all the fights. What are you going to be sipping on? Tell us how a fight would go with you, man.
Yeah, no. So this is my first like major fight, and I am calling it major. We have trilogies or rematches. Sometimes they kind of lose steam, but I think us rewatching these two fights for me kind of like it revamped it, like it just reignited. I think what would be, which will be probably one of, I'm not gonna say the best trilogy, but it'll go up there in one of the top trilogies. I think just watching these two fights, and I think in this fight, I think both guys are at a pretty good point in their career. I think it's perfect for them. Um, I know Estrada didn't have too good of a show in his last fight. He did win, but it wasn't the best Estrada that we've seen. And when you're a competitor, you always step up to the level of your competition, or you always get up for that one. And this is going to be the one that he's going to get up for. I think for this third fight, it being here in Southern Arizona, this is Sonora. This is kind of Estrada's. It's almost like Estrada's backyard. You're fighting here, so and I know it's definitely going to be pro Mexican. And you guys asked me who I'm gonna be cheering for. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to ride with the Mexican flag on this one, man. And I just feel like it is. This is gonna be Estrada's last big fight, or his last big win, and that one win that he needs to get. And both guys actually need this one to finally to say, you know what, I'm the guy that's winning the trilogy. But I'll be there. I looked it up last night because I'm going with my uncle and my cousins, and we're trying to figure out what time the fights start. And it says 3:15. Yes, I will be there at 3:15.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
it is an hour and a half drive, so I mean, I'm gonna leave here probably about 12. We're gonna stop to get some food, and then catch the fights, man. And I'll be ready. I got the weed pin ready. It's ready, locked and loaded
Yeah.
in.
So, have you been to
um,
the venue that they're going to be fighting at?
no, I haven't. It's at the Desert Diamond Casino, so that's a pretty big casino here in Arizona.
All right, man. Well, we can't wait to hear about your experience, dude. And yeah, dude, I'm glad that you find this to be a very big fight. And we know that you saw Valdez versus Consecao, and I'm glad that you're really looking forward to this one, man. Awesome that Arizona's getting some great fights like this. It's a great fight state, in my opinion. Lots of fans there, lots of Mexicans there. And like Eddie Hearn says, he likes Mexican fans. Like they're one of the fan bases that show up early to watch all the undercards, man. That's the truth, man. I like getting
Yeah,
there, watching all that shit, man, and just taking it in. You get your value that way. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And I'll try to keep my phone charged. Maybe I might, walk up to the front somehow, and I mean, we're in the group chat, so I'll send some pictures if I get some pictures with some people there.
Sweet, man. So you got the weed pen, and you're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
do you drink too when you're there?
I don't get like, and this one I'm not gonna get too fucked up on. I'll probably have like two tall cans through the whole night.
There you go. But just remember, if you drink Bud Light, that's almost like drinking water. You know what I mean? You stay hydrated, right?
Maybe.
And just so you guys know, as a reference, Gallo Estrada is the underdog. So he was the favorite in the second fight, but now he's a 2-1 underdog. Roman Gonzalez is a more than 2-1 favorite, which is kind of surprising to me based on the two fights that I saw. Um, Georgie, why do you think that
Mhm.
is?
I think going just their last two performances. I mean, we saw Roman Gonzalez's last performance was against Cesar Martinez, um, and everybody was salivating over the performance. And I was one too. It was a great performance against the young kid.
Yep.
That did not come prepared, and I believe if he did come in prepared, I do still think Chocolatito would have won, but I don't think we expected him to win in that fashion, like where it was pretty much completely one sided. And like I said, Estrada's last fight, um, it wasn't his best performance. I think it was just because they were scheduled to fight last year too, correct? I mean, this year at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. So yeah, I think he just needed to get that fight out of the way, kind of get the ring rust off, get prepared for this third fight. And I think that's pretty much the only reason why I feel like maybe Gonzalez is the favorite because of the last performances.
Mm. And it shows here that they expect this fight to go to decision. Nopal, you've seen the odds, man. You've seen the first two fights. You see who's the favorite. Tell us what you think about this fight and who you have winning, my man.
Man, it's hard to say, bro, because I think it's just gonna be another continuation of the last three fights. So it's gonna be up to the judges, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I'm just hoping for a good fight, bro. I really like both of these fighters, so may the best man win.
Oh man! First you ducked the Prograis versus Teofimo prediction, and now the Chocolatito versus Estrada prediction. You're ducking this one too, Nopal. Come on, bro.
I'm ducking all the smoke now, man.
Well, it's the holidays. Everybody's just feeling good. You know what I mean? Okay, so you don't have a prediction for real?
Nah, bro. I'm not gonna be like. I'm gonna be like, what's his name? Estrada lands a fourth round home run punch. Like, bro, what kind of prediction would that be, man? It's just on some luck type shit. Nah,
Oh
I mean,
man.
may the best man win. I think, like I said, I mean, my only prediction is exactly the same shit as both other fights. One guy's gonna try to walk the other guy down. Uh, I think Estrada from the first fight, learned that he needs to stay off the ropes. And I think that he's got to establish his flow, and that's about it, man. And uh, yeah, it's really going to come down to the judges, in my opinion, bro. And what is worrying me a little bit is that uh is what's his name's last performance, so that could be an indication that he's slowing down. Estrada is.
Gallo?
Yeah, Gallo. So, because it takes a lot of energy to have that style. He moves around pretty good, and the flow that he has and all that. It takes a lot of energy to move around like that. Whereas
Right.
Chocolatito style, it's more in tune with like conserving energy somehow, because it's no flashy movement. It's just your basic uh Alexis Arguello / Julio Cesar type style, and you conserve a lot of energy that way. So it's I think that's another thing that they're going off of. The Vegas bet makers. I think that's another thing that they're going off of. So it's interesting, man. I'm hoping. I'm gonna root with my country, man. But like I said, I really like Chocolatito. So whoever wins this, wins it.
That's a great observation because you could even see in the second fight, Gaia wasn't moving around as much. Like, he can do it, but it takes a lot of energy to keep up that momentum and to keep moving around. Like, he might not have the opportunity to move around like that without getting gas, right? And you can't afford to get gas against Chocolatito if your only other option after that is to sit in the pocket with him and allow him to kind of get in close with you, right? So, what game plan will Gallo Estrada come out with? And here's a tweet that I thought was interesting. So this third fight will be for the vacant WBC super flyweight title, which was vacated by Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And this guy says here, just another proof that the WBC franchise title didn't mean anything. And if I'm not mistaken, it will be the 20th title fight for Roman Gonzalez. Wow, who has 16-3, 10 KO records in title fights. Like, yeah, I mean, super respectable guy. I mean, obviously a future Hall of Famer. A lot of people are saying that he could be the fighter of the decade. Like, if you're really paying attention to those lower weight classes, he's a guy who certainly commands respect. So yeah, dude, you're going to be seeing a legend, Georgie, no doubt about it. I mean, he's I mean, I don't know enough about the smaller weight classes, but I mean, he's definitely like, I don't know, would you consider him to be like an all-time great?
Oh yeah, I would say yes. And I said, and like I was telling you guys earlier, I feel, like the little guys. I mean, you might hear one or two little guys back in the day, but nothing where like we're getting now, right? I mean, you got like Bam Rodriguez, you got, this is a trilogy. In a way, Donaire. So like there wasn't really too much of a buzz for these little guys. I guess this kind of put them on the map because when Gonzalez came in, they had him like ranked number 1 or number 2 for pound, and I think everybody was like, who the hell is this guy? And it was, I think it was HBO where they had a lot of promos. I mean, a lot of like videos on Chocolatito, and he was trained by, or he was from the camp of Arguello, or the school of Arguello, I should say, or you should say, like that was like his favorite fighter. So like he was kind of like, he's like the sweetheart. But I'm gonna say, yeah, man, he's definitely he's definitely an all-time great. At least of like the last 10, 15 years, especially at that smaller weight division.
Nice, man. Well, I
and
hope,
it's kind
like
of
I said, it's going to be great. And I know that for sure. And also, I hope that you take a picture if you could get with him with Michael Carbajal, because he's usually at
Oh
these
yeah.
fights, right?
Oh yeah, he's a Phoenix native.
You know what's funny, dude? Like, okay, I saw him like on an undercard of some other fight where we scored, and it was like, dude, I had like a an unblocked memory. I'm like, I used to see this dude a lot when I was a kid, but like I really don't remember his fights, but I remember the guy's face. I'm like, oh, I know this dude. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I don't have any real recollection of his fights, but it'd be nice if there was like a fight we could go back and rescore that was like controversial with Carbajal, because I remember being a fan of his when I was young, but I was so young. You know what I mean? Like I don't really quite remember that era.
Yeah, there. I know he had a couple of rematches or even trilogies against Chiquita Gonzalez. Like I remember being a kid and like that was kind of the big thing then. Like I mean, I think those would be pretty cool. I mean, we just rescored these, right? I mean, it wouldn't be too bad to kind of like go back and check these out because I remember them being exciting as a
Hell, dude,
kid.
I'm down to see some exciting fights, man, that I might have missed, bro. And Nando here, he's got a message for Nopal. Nopal, it sounds to Nando like you're half stepping, and that you're actually picking Chocolatito in a way. What do you think about that, man?
nah, I'm definitely not picking Chocolatito in a way. I just wanna, you know what, man? Recently I had some type of intervention, bro, and I don't want to be so biased. So, I gotta, like I said, man, I got a soft spot for both of these fighters. One happens to be my countryman, so I just wanted to put it out there. I don't really care. I think I said that the last time they fought. May the best man win on this one.
Hey, may the best man win. And as far as like my prediction goes, it's hard to say. I wish I had looked at more film. All I know about these guys is what I've watched recently, and I do vaguely remember. I remember the Martinez fight with Chocolatito. Estrada's last fight, I do remember him looking lackluster, but he did win the fight. And yeah, these guys are both they're both fading, and it's hard to keep up that type of work rate at such a low weight class. Like these guys are really old for the weight classes that they're in, right? And you're already starting to see people fade, like Rung Visai, like he looks faded, right? So I mean, these guys could be. I don't want to call them shot, but it's good that they're facing each other right now. This is the perfect fight, and I think when you guys made the reference, like this could be like one of these guys, like last great fights, and I agree. So I say, may the best man win. If I had to make a prediction based on the last two fights, I would say Gallo Estrada is going to win this fight a little more convincingly than he did the second fight. I think it could be clear, but if he's faded at all and he can't get a few back steps when he wants them, and he can't do that because he's gassed, then it could be all Chocolatito, because I do think that Chocolatito does have more power, but that remains to be seen. But and in the second fight too, you could see where Estrada sitting in the pocket going blow for blow, which I like to see from the little guys. Like I like to see chingazos, right? But it seemed to me like he was at a point where he thought, I can take Chocolatito's power. It's not going to knock me out. Like I think he had come to that conclusion towards the end of that second fight. And I think that if this fight goes into the later rounds, in a way, I could see it being the case again where, I don't think Chocolatito is going to be able to knock out Gallo Estrada, right? I mean, even though Chocolatito did dominate Martinez, like that was kind of a funky fight, like you guys were saying, So if my prediction is going to be Gallo Estrada is going to win this one by decision, I might even throw a little bit of money on it, because I'm actually surprised. Like it's quite rare when you see odds flip back and forth like this. It's very rare. So I mean, if Gallo won the last one, and I think that he won fairly, right? And even though he was the favorite, but now Chocolatito's a 2-1 favorite, like very, very unique. So I'm gonna take a hard look at that line and see. And Nando here is calling for the upset special. Oh, he's talking about Lerner versus Daniel Dubois tomorrow. He's dangerous, and DDD has been shaky. Well, we hope you guys enjoy this third fight. And real quick, we didn't have it on a list of topics, man, but Tyson Fury is fighting this weekend as well. Do you guys have any thoughts on that one?
None.
Yeah, not everybody's getting up for this one. I mean, nobody seems to care over here, but I mean, it is a sellout over there. Tyson Fury's been piping off. He's been saying some very strange things. No, Paul, you got any comments on Tyson Fury versus Chisora 3? No, Paul, are you speaking? I see you go on and off mute, but I can't tell if you got something to say, brother.
Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I guess I had a minor malfunction because I had some phone calls. But can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
No, I really don't got nothing to say. I think that It's a trash ass fight. Isn't it the second time that he's fighting that bum? And
third time.
not even interested.
Damn.
You know?
Well, yeah. I agree with you guys. It's kind of a bizarre fight. At least we'll get it out of the way, right? We're getting some fights out of the way, and then next week we got some really interesting fights to take a look at. So that'll be fun. And then here Nando says Fury messed up with even mentioning AJ. Shit on this fight by extension. Well, yeah. I'll watch it, man. We'll see how Fury looks, and he's also a guy who's aging, and it's like I don't think his style can keep up. Like I don't think he has a choice but to sit on his punches anymore, which benefits him. But he says he's going to keep going until he probably gets knocked out, and I think it's very possible. I think he's very self-aware that most great champions, especially in the heavyweight division, although, I mean, there are exceptions, right? I mean, usually they go down swinging, right? And but I do think that he's going to handle Chisora. I mean, the odds are ridiculous for this one. So, yeah, I really don't have much to say on that either, other than the fact that I'm really excited about the Chocolatito versus Estrada fight, and I want to thank all the channels out there who go out of their way to really highlight the smaller weight classes. They've turned me into a believer when it's a fight worth watching, right? And it's like, your guys' coverage out there excites me, and it gets me excited for these fights, and it gives me more fights to enjoy. So I want to thank everybody who covers the lower weight classes. I'm still not too excited about women's fights, but that's a whole different story. You know what I mean? And I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us. We also noticed that, there's a lot of silent listeners, as well as a really strong, archival group of listeners who come, and they pretty much double our numbers every time we come on. We have some live viewers, people like Nando, JC, A-Rob. We got a lot of regulars come here, and we love chopping it up with all you. But I also want to thank the quiet listenership base. It's great that you guys come here to kick it with us and just hear what we have to say, and we appreciate it, man. And we hope you guys have another great week, right? And that we're going into December, and we have our thoughts towards gratitude. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this is the Al Chile crew, Georgie with Off the Ropes Boxing and MMA, and Nopal Boxeanos. We are out. Peace.